Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Hope you guys are having a good Saturday morning. As you're listening to this, I am probably en route on my way to Knoxville. Looking forward to a good time, man. Orange and white game is finally here. I know that's a lot of excitement, right? A little buzz, ready to see some of these young guys out there. It's football. It's football inside of Neyland Stadium, and I know, it's going to be very vanilla. It's going to be very dumbed down and basic. I get it, but it's still football, and it's still Neyland Stadium. So we're going to be hanging out in G10 Parking Garage today. Hope you guys will come by, hang out. Let's have a good time today watching this Tennessee football team. Maybe we'll see a little bit about this identity going into 2024. Like I said, I know it's going to be basic. I know it's going to be dumbed down, but there's still going to be some excitement. And what are you guys excited about? Put it in the comments section over there. Are you excited about seeing Nico? What about Jake Merklinger? He's a guy that could make some plays today inside of Neyland Stadium. He's a guy that they may let go out there and cut it loose just a little bit. Also, Coach Jay brought up a good point earlier in this week during one of the live streams talking about the running back room, because I've gone on record. You guys know it. I've said it multiple times. When Dallin Hayden entered the portal, I think Tennessee needs a little depth in that running back room. And you can agree, you can disagree, but the truth of the matter is that offensive line is going to be limited in the spring game. A lot of guys are going to be out. Cooper May's not going to play. Sprague's not going to play. John Campbell's not going to play. So they're going to be a little depleted on the flip side. That defensive line, absolutely loaded with talent. They're stacked 3 deep. So these running backs are going to have an opportunity to go prove themselves. If Deshaun Bishop or Khalifa Keith, if they flash, does that mean something as we head into the 2024 season? Also, some of these young guns, some of the true freshmen that have been getting a little bit of buzz throughout spring camp, guys like Mike Matthews, Edwin Spillman, Braylon Staley, Boo Carter. Who are you excited about? Put it in the comments section below. I want to hear from you guys. Again, it's very vanilla. It's very basic. Spring games are what they are, but it's football inside of Neyland Stadium, and it's not just football. It's also going to be a huge recruiting weekend for Tennessee, capped off by 5-star quarterback and Tennessee commit George McIntyre. He's going to be in town, going to be able to do some peer recruiting. Made a video yesterday afternoon talking about the number 1 quarterback in the class of 2026, Faison Brandon. Talked a lot about what Josh Heupel's been able to do with that quarterback room since arriving in Knoxville, and I think he is a key target as we look ahead to that class of 2026. If you missed that video, go back and give it a watch, but George is also going to be peer recruiting some of those big-time targets in the class of 2025. We're going to get into those in just a moment, but as always, I need you guys to do me a favor and smash that thumbs up just below the video. It's quick, it's free, it's easy, and it helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. If it's your first time on the channel, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We don't talk at you. We talk with you here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. So if you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop videos. Going to actually be live tomorrow night, Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be recapping what we see today in that orange and white game. We're also going to be joined by a special guest, one of the guys that I'm going to be talking about here in just a moment, 4-star offensive tackle, Jaylen Matthews. He's in town right now on Rocky Top, going to be watching the orange and white game, spending some time with these players, spending some time with this coaching staff. He reached out to us. He said, Boogie, I want to come on the Talkin VAWLS Network. I want to hang out with the Talkin VAWLS family, and I want to recap my visit. So we're going to do that Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys mark the calendar, jump in here, and we'll have a good time tomorrow night. But let's get into it, because the main event, the big guy, is in town once again. David Sanders, 5-star offensive tackle. You can see there on the screen on 3 industry rankings, have him as the number 2 ranked player overall in the country. I think this is a big-time prospect. We talk about Coach Heupel and recruiting and getting that top 10 class or even that top 5 class. David Sanders is the type of guy that gets you there, right? And you look at, what he's been able to do, NCAA investigation, hanging over his head. He still went out and got Nico Iamaleava. He was able to sign Mike Matthews, Jordan Ross. He's been able to add some legitimate dudes, but it's time for Josh Heupel to take that next step, and I think that starts with the 5-star offensive tackle, David Sanders. I mean, it's pretty big, right? Back-to-back visits. He was here last weekend, and something that I didn't note in the videos, we talked a little bit on the about it on the live streams, because I think it was Coach Rice that brought it up. By coming to Knoxville last week, he missed out on the Clemson spring game. He chose to come to Tennessee for another unofficial visit. So being in town twice within 6 days, I think that's absolutely huge. Last week he got to see practice, got to see what these coaches were all about. I just think it's big that he missed that Clemson spring game. Steve Wiltfong said he's been visiting Tennessee since 8th grade, and the Vols are very much a major contender in this recruitment. I think it's going to be big that George is in town. George wasn't able to make it last weekend. He was doing some quarterback stuff. I think he was in Florida, but he wasn't able to be in Knoxville. But now he's going to be here. He's going to be able to peer recruit, and David Sanders, George McIntyre, they're very familiar with each other, took a lot of visits, not only to Tennessee, but also to Alabama and other schools together, and George was playing chess. Everybody else playing checkers. George was playing chess. He was selling David Sanders on, hey, let's play together. Let's not talk about Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee. Let's just go ride together. I need you, big fella, and I think that plays into George McIntyre and Tennessee's favor. Clemson, probably the team to beat here. Georgia trying to sneak their way in. Alabama's interested, but I think Tennessee is in a good spot for the 5-star offensive tackle. Another offensive tackle, the guy that's going to be hanging out with us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, a guy I'm really high on, 4-star offensive tackle Jaylen Matthews, 6'5", 275 out of New Jersey. Again, you look at the On3 industry rankings, a top 250 prospect. If you go look at On3 themselves, they've got him in the top 75, ranked as the 75th best player in the country. That is elite, particularly when you're looking at this offensive line, right? You're casting a wide net. I know I've talked a lot about it the last couple of weeks. David Sanders, Jaylen Matthews, Dontrell Glover, Juan Gaston's a guy that Tennessee's in it with. Josh Petty, a guy that grew up a Tennessee fan, another 5-star offensive tackle, 6'4", 265 out of Georgia. On3 industry rankings have him as the number 18 player overall in the country. Josh Petty's a guy that started to fade, but Austin Price over at VolQuest, he tweeted out, said Josh Petty grew up a Tennessee fan. This thing ain't over yet. Then they put it out on VolQuest this week that Tennessee's having some really good dialogue. Things are kind of opening back up with Tennessee and Josh Petty. That excites me. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, I think Tennessee's in a really good spot here for Jaylen Matthews. Again, inside the top 250. Dropped his top 6 back in March. Georgia, Maryland, Miami, Rutgers, Syracuse, and Tennessee. But it really seems like all the research I've done sounds like Georgia, Tennessee, and Miami are the 3 that stand out above the rest. Jaylen Matthews loves some Tennessee. I'm on here on Tuesday nights, just as I am every Tuesday night, playing NCAA football, hanging out with the Talkin VAWLS family, laid back chill stream. This past week, Jaylen Matthews pops in the chat, says, "What's good, Vol family? I want to come on the show." We connect on Twitter. I think Jaylen Matthews loves him some Tennessee. You go back to kind of when he got on my radar, was when George McIntyre committed, right? George McIntyre makes it official, commits to Tennessee. Jaylen Matthews is a guy that's on Twitter, quote tweeting, saying, hey, you need somebody to come block for you there, George? I would be glad to come block for you at the University of Tennessee. And you know how recruiting works and social media and NIL, it's like, is this guy just trying to get follows? Is he trying to get clicks, tweets? Does he want people to talk about him? But then the more I follow it, he comes in town February 3rd. Really feel like Tennessee knocked it out of the park there, and this momentum with Jaylen Matthews is legit. He's scheduled to be back in town officially on June the 14th. I think that will tell the story. Look, some people on the message boards think Jaylen Matthews is on commitment watch this weekend. Is he? Or is he not? Maybe that's something we can ask him tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time as he comes on the show and recaps this visit. One last guy I want to talk about, and this guy kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't even really familiar with him that much, and then I saw that he is going to be in town for the orange and white game. That's David Meadows, a 4-star wide receiver out of Las Vegas, Nevada, 6'5", 185. Right out of the gate, you just see the measurables, right? The length, 6'5", 185. And then the On3 industry rankings got him 38th overall, 6th ranked wide receiver in the country, number 1 player out of the state of Nevada. Now, this is a guy, and you can see there the On3 recruiting prediction machine, all Notre Dame. And Notre Dame was the early favorite kind of coming into the spring. More I've dug into it, SEC schools are starting to move in, and that means your LSUs, your Alabamas, your Georgias. Something that I read that On3 had put out was that he also has family in Michigan. So Michigan State also could be possibilities there. Steve Wiltfong put out an update, said Alabama and Georgia are picking up steam with the Las Vegas Bishop Gorman On300 receiver Derek Meadows. LSU should not be slept on as well following his visit this past weekend. Notre Dame has led much of the process, but the SEC programs are coming on strong. Tennessee gets a visit this weekend. Michigan is on April the 20th. And something worth noting, his high school position coach, wide receiver coach, former Tennessee Volunteer Marcus Nash. How does that play into this for him? You can see here, doesn't have a scouting report or anything like that. It's his personal life. Prides himself on being able to do a little bit of everything at receiver. This is a quote from him. Coaches love my speed, my ability to get open fast when I'm running deep routes, and catching abilities. He goes on to talk about his track background. Meadows was the 2023 Gatorade Nevada Boys Track and Field Athlete of the Year, won the Class 5A state title in the 300-meter hurdles, and ran a leg in Bishop Gorman's winning 4x400 relay team. He says here, it's got to be faster, which was my goal for football, to get out of my cuts faster, break down better. Everything there has helped me with getting open and separation from defensive backs. Track has helped me a lot. So I'm starting to fall in love with this kid when you're talking about a kid with length, 6'5", 185, and then add on elite track speed to go with it. And, you know, having a conversation with Nelson and Jackson, everybody knows Nelson. Twitter famous. Nelson's Twitter famous, and we were talking about wide receivers and quarterbacks and what Josh Heupel has been able to do recruiting those two positions. You know, Nelson said, I'm never going to question Josh Heupel being able to get wide receivers or being able to get quarterbacks. And when you look, similar to the offensive line, casting that wide net, Jamie French, a 5-star, Caleb Cunningham, a 5-star, Travis Smith, elite level 4-star, Marcus Harris out of California, another kid that was just in town recently. Some serious momentum there with Tennessee. Then you look at the in-state kids, Rodarius Jackson, Cam Sparks. Now you add Derek Meadows to the mix. A lot of talent at that wide receiver position, but Derek Meadows will be in town this weekend, today, for the orange and white game. A lot of other guys going to be in town on campus. We'll kind of keep you guys up to date as we move forward throughout the next couple of days, but I wanted to talk about some of the heavy hitters that I'm really excited about, and really excited that, you know, George is going to be here, be able to peer recruit those guys. But what do you guys think? What are you excited about with the orange and white game? Can Tennessee pull down that top 5 class in the class of 2025? Jump into the comments section and let's talk about it. Smash that thumbs up on the way out the door. Go check out the Talkin VAWLS merch. You guys know where to get those Talkin VAWLS t-shirts, hoodies, whatever you want. The link is in the description below, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Hope you guys have a great day. If you watch the game on TV, enjoy it. Hope to see you down there in the G10 parking garage. I'll be posting on Twitter, Facebook. I'll post on the community tab, let you guys know exactly where we're at. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.